go, Local 304. Time for your update on what's happening with the union. So, diving right into it, let's talk about Westar Health. We had our health committee utilization, our health utilization committee met with the company. I think it was last week. Time flies. And there was a couple of topics that I really wanted to review with you today, because I know how easy it is to get sucked into the negativity of what we're going through with this changeover to Cigna. And we're still working through those issues, and I'm not downplaying that at all, but we also need to be cognizant of what are the opportunities that we have in order for us to maintain the current healthcare plan and its deductibles and out-of-pockets and the value that we have in the plan. I don't want it to get lost because we become fighting with the insurance companies. The Healthcare Utilization Committee was first formed in order for the company and the union to partner against the healthcare industry. I know that we're fighting every day with Cigna and how they code things, how they don't pay things, how they force us into rehab instead of MRIs, and I get that, and we're fighting that. But on the other hand, we should look at what's going on with our healthcare plan and what we can do better. So we had 9 months worth of data available to us at our last meeting. Our medical costs are up about 22%. At the same time, our drug costs are down about 10%, and dental costs up about 5%. So collectively, that means about 11% increase. Now, we still are under our forecast. Obviously, these numbers were good through September. Like I said, 9 months worth of data. So we've got 3 more months to go before the end of the year. So we're pretty much on target right now, but still important to know where we're at. In our high cases, we still have one that's sitting around 300,000, and our stop loss is at 500,000. So we're keeping an eye on that. Seems to be winding down a little bit, but those are the kinds of things that increase our healthcare costs whenever we get into those large claims. We do have 53% of our members that have not had a checkup. And that number sounds a little bit alarming, but I know that a lot of you, us, me in particular, will wait until December or so to have our annual checkup, and that way it's still good for the following year. And so I don't know that it's real alarming, but just as a side note, we want to make sure we're promoting that proactive look at our health. So checkups are a good thing. The average age is 33 that have had a visit. 30 and below really hasn't had a visit, and the data doesn't really show any correlation with access. So just interesting facts. Here's one that really blew me away. Now remember, I said that our RX costs, our prescription drugs as a whole, is down 10%. But you hear so much of these specialty drugs being advertised on TV. And right now, specialty drugs drive about 1.5% of our utilization, but they're 50% of the total cost. So that's something we really want to pay attention to. I get it, man. We want to make sure we all live, right? So we want access to the best drugs we can in order to take care of that. But the cost of some of those drugs is just outrageous. So it's really important that you be proactive with your doctor and just say, hey, is there other drugs I can take? Now, I know when it comes to hepatitis and the difference between having a liver transplant and having the drug, there's not a question. The drug's the way to go. But just keep that in mind. You see some of these drugs on the advertisements, and they can make it look like it's all rainbows and unicorns. So just pay attention to that. Dental, we've had a couple of conversations about getting new dental cards, and so we will be getting new dental cards at the beginning of the year. You should get them late December, early January. And they will be in the primary subscriber's name. So if you have a family of 3, everybody's going to say Joe Smith, employees number on there. You can also log into the app to get the electronic form of your dental card if you want to access that. Dental has always been a fun topic to talk about at our Healthcare Utilization Committee meetings because the costs are usually pretty flat. So again, just for some helpful information, 42% of us have cleaning exams only. 19% are moderate, so cleaning exam and a filling, let's say. And then 12% are serious, so that means I only go to the dentist whenever I have pain and I can't take it anymore. 27% have no visit at all, and so that's about 4% below our peers. And that's kind of concerning because those are the ones that will drive the higher costs. You really should be going and getting your cleanings and being an advocate for good oral health. A little bit about the HSA. You know that you have until the end of December to use your FSA dollars. And so you can visit the fsastore.com, and on there you can spend your your health dollars for things where you don't have to have receipts for. They're all approved products to purchase with your FSA. As you know, the HSA is also moving over to Cigna at the first of the year from Surrency. So your money will sit there in the current Surrency account unless you do something with that. But all new monies will be going into Cigna. And you should get also get new cards on the FSA, again, towards the end of December, the 1st of January. And the 2019 cards, they'll have to be used in order to spend the 2019 dollars. So please be proactive in that. And I did have one kind of interesting note there whenever I made a note that only 2% of us take care of the, take advantage of the dependent dollars that are out there under the FSA. And it's probably because of the high cost of daycare. But if you didn't know, there is that money that you can have set aside pre-tax out of your paycheck in order to pay those, help you pay those babysitting, child care costs. Along with Westar and the 401k, we are in the blackout period now, and so if you didn't make any changes to your account, obviously when that money comes over in Empower, you're going to be enrolled in those lifestyle accounts. And so once that becomes available for you, then you need to look at it and see if you want to keep your money there, or if you want to look and see what funds are best fitted for your needs and your investment savvy. This also is for retirees, and I think we probably did a bad job of communicating with retirees. I've just received a couple of phone calls recently about retirees being involved in this also. And I know the company sent out some correspondence, but I don't know how well we saw those. We had a retiree dinner in here a couple months ago, and I mentioned it to several of them, and it seemed like some had seen it and some had not. So again, anybody that had money, if you're a Westar employee in the Vanguard, or if you're a Wolf Creek employee and had it in Fidelity, those monies will be rolling over to Empower. So you should do the same thing once the blackout period is over, towards the middle of December. Then you can start moving that money into funds that you want it to be in, or obviously 59.5, you can roll that money out. So please pay attention to that. Line clearance, have Mark Nichols that's been canvassing the state for us, and we do go to the table on Monday. He's come up with a good list for us from you, so I appreciate all the line clearance members that interacted with Mark as he canvassed the state. And we will be starting our negotiations Monday morning, so please pay attention to your mail. I'll send out some sort of an alert on our Facebook and YouTube accounts so that you guys know it's coming. I'd like to do a mail ballot again this year, and I'd like to be able to get it out with the contract expiration being December the 28th. It'd sure be nice to have something in your hands to vote on to get ratified prior to that December 28th, so we don't have that lag in our increases like we did last year. If you remember, it was August of last year until we were able to get everything resolved, and that meant your back pay went back into the 1st of January. So it'll be important that we can get that done. And with the line code increase being 50 cents this year, it's going to be really important that we get those issues taken care of. So more to come. Hopefully I'll have really good news for you at the end of Monday. That's our goal. Northrop Grumman, I think we talked about this in the last video, that we have voted down the tentative agreement there. And so we sent out a survey to our members in order to gain the information as to why the tentative was not accepted. And then we'll go back to the table on, I think it's December 11th and 12th, in order to restart, and hopefully we can walk away with an agreement again. That's another one that is going to have a short ratification opportunity in order to get into effect at the effective date of the next agreement, which is January 1, 2020. So all you Northrop Grumman covered employees, be looking for information coming out on that. We will hold a on-site vote there at the hopefully at the Super 8, as long as we can reserve that facility. which is so close to yours that it should be able to slip over after work and give us your vote. It's easy when you all show up under one roof as compared to so many of our contracts that have line clearance, as we just talked about, being all over the state of Kansas. Logistics are just not very good for doing in-person votes. We did do that last year. Went around, David Galvin and I went around the state, and it's tough. It's tough on everybody's schedule in order to get to a point where you can cast a ballot. So the mail ballot works better for line clearance. As long as you guys make sure you're exercising your right as a member and checking that box and send that back into us. There's a couple things going on nationally and locally that we need to talk about. Attacks on unions, and in particular, one being the attack on pensions. So multi-employer pensions took a big hit earlier this week in the federal legislation, where there's a white paper being proposed that would in fact decimate the multi-employer pension plans. So if we want to be able to retire with dignity, we really need to be paying attention to these. If they're successful in doing away with multi-employer pensions, don't think for a minute single employer pensions won't be next. Really what they want to do is tax us out of existence, so that pension guaranteed fund taxing would just about 300% increase on that, and then a huge increase on the taxes to the retirees and to the members that participate in those plans. So just as an example, Local 304 has 1,105 PBF participants, and the PBF under this white paper would go from green to red just overnight. So more details will be coming out. We're going to get talking points. We're waiting for the other local unions covered under FLCIO to gather the same information, because I know you know that Central States, the Teamsters were big on their pension plan back when there was lots of union truck drivers out on the roadways, and as they have seen their impact, why that obviously has impacted the pension plans. And so Central States is really in dire straits, and then also the miners, coal miners, you know, with the closing of all these coal-fired facilities and the carbon capture stuff going on, that's reduced the reliance on coal. There's a lot of coal mines that are going bankrupt and shutting down, and with all the black lung payouts on their pension plans, they're really struggling. And so where there was legislation, the Butch-Lewis Act went through the House, and there was great legislation in order to take care of us, just like they took care of the automakers and the banks back in the '08 times. We need that same help right now with our multi-employer pensions, but instead, this new white paper that looks like it'll be attached to the omnibus bill December 20th for funding could in fact go the other way and just decimate the ability for retirees to have the financial security that they deserve after working all their careers. So lots more to come on that. We'll be looking to mobilize our members. Once we get those talking points and get a plan in place, I'll be talking to you. The other thing going on more locally is attack on apprenticeships. We kind of fought it off at the national level, but now it's come back, and the Kansas Board of Regents is looking at how they can suck money out of the school funding in order to line the pockets of those in that education field. And we, as a skilled labor, obviously are proud of our apprenticeships that balance the ability for field training and classroom, getting paid while you learn, and actually come away with a certificate that carries more weight, in my opinion, than a certificate you get out of a school that says now you're a journeyman lineman because you went through the bookwork. So we will be mobilizing for testimony to the Kansas Board of Regents and attending some of those open forum sessions so that we can have some discussion about that. We've got to be able to maintain those things in order to be the safe, productive employees and members that we have to be in order to protect ourselves and our families. You know, OSHA is it's a great organization, but they're really thin, and so you can't rely on them. We have to rely on ourselves to make sure that we're getting the right safety training, and that's part of what apprenticeships do. The last thing I'll talk about today is we're gearing up for the legislative session. About the middle of December is when you start looking at bills to be proposed the second week of January, whenever the state legislature is back in place. Local 304 has had a long 2 or 3 years now. We've been proposing OSHA 10 TD and E training for all workers that work on energized circuits above 600 volts. And that legislation has been pretty tough to get corporate sponsorship on, but now I understand there's a move in the state in order to require that kind of training. So again, Local 304 will be looking for some corporate sponsorship, either KEPCO or Westar, to be able to support that. And Local 304 is advancing on the training so that we'll have a qualified instructor in order to be able to present that training. So that's one bill that we're looking for. And then the Utility Worker Protection Act is something that we want to propose new this year, something that we know what you've seen in the paper and heard on the news about the violence that utility workers are subjected to, and so this is some legislation to help protect those. And then also a very simple bill that we have looked at too is the pull over for utility vehicles, no different than pulling over for other emergency vehicles. So we'll be looking for corporate sponsorship with both of those also. That's about all I have for you today. Oh, I do have one thing I wanted to show you. We have some new hoodies that just came in today. So obviously you can stop by the Union Hall to see more of that. I hope that logo showed up good on the video. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, safe holidays, and we'll talk to you next week.